Hello, in this video I'm going to give you my list of the top 5 best and most affordable laptops for video editing. Now, to be fair, I'll start off by saying I do all my video editing on this computer, and I personally think that you're better off with a proper desktop computer for a dedicated productivity task like video editing. In terms of specs, in terms of hard drive space, in terms of practicality, in terms of everything, you get a lot more power and bang for the buck if you go with a desktop computer. But some people want to be able to edit their videos on the go, and they want to be able to do it somewhat affordably. But nevertheless, I can't recommend a cheapo laptop for video editing because you're going to pull your hair out. And for me, that's not a good thing because I'm starting to lose it pretty fast at the back. So this is from an article that I've written, and the opening quote will explain my thoughts on this. Video editing requires a computer that's dependable and reasonably powerful. That's an understatement. A subpar netbook is simply insufficient. If you want an excruciating user experience of stuttering performance and exorbitant rendering times, then try editing 1080p video or even 4K video on a machine with an Intel Atom processor. Hardy har. If your computer has just 1 or 2 gigabytes of RAM and an integrated GPU, editing will be virtually impossible. To effectively use high-end video editing software and be genuinely productive requires above average hardware specifications. I think whoever wrote this is very smart, and I agree with him because it's me. Let's begin with number 5. This is the Dell XPS 13. Now, this is a super thin and affordable €800 or $799 notebook. It's an ultrabook actually, and it has a very vibrant 13-inch display, a 6th generation core processor. It provides 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is really the bare minimum. Preferably you want 8 gigabytes. And 128 gigabytes of SSD, which obviously is ridiculously low by any standard. So you won't be storing very much video on that, but it would be ideal for people who are using an external hard drive, which a lot of people would be. Additional configurations offer a touchscreen, double the RAM, and storage and faster processors. The non-touchscreen edition of the XPS 13 also provides you decent 12 hours of battery life. Let's move on to number 4. This is the Asus ZenBook Pro UHD, a 15.6-inch $1,500 Windows 10 notebook which boasts an aluminium unibody chassis. Now obviously that isn't extraordinarily cheap or anything, but like I say, you do get what you pay for. And I wouldn't want you to buy something that was like $500 or $600 that was ultimately going to be insufficient for your needs. Video editing requires a little bit of power in order to do it well. You get 512 gigabyte of SSD, Thunderbolt connectivity. It also includes a 10-point touchscreen. Above all, you're getting a fast 6th generation Core i7 processor and an NVIDIA GTX 960M GPU with 2 gigabytes of video memory. Because most high-level video editing applications make use of the GPU to help bolster video effect rendering, the more video memory you have, the better. And that goes for Adobe Premiere Pro and also Final Cut Pro 10. So, number 3 is the Acer Aspire V15, which I have previously reviewed. The specs include a 15.6-inch 1080p display. The CPU is a 5th generation Intel Core i5 at 2.2 GHz. The graphics chip is the NVIDIA GeForce 940M with 2 gigabytes of video memory. RAM starts from 8 gigabytes. The storage is a hybrid configuration of 8 gigabyte SSD and 1 terabyte hard drive. This is actually the lowest priced machine on the list, €629 or $799. You have to keep in mind that the CPUs, the Intel Core Series processor, are their last year's generation, of course. This is basically a kind of desktop replacement. But the battery life could be a little bit better. Let's move on to number 2, the 15-inch MacBook Pro. And the reason why this actually doesn't go to number 1 is because Apple still hasn't refreshed the MacBook Pro. As I mentioned in a previous video, the Macs are now starting to date just a little here in the beginning of 2016. Apple really needs to refresh these things because they're starting to fall behind the technical curve when compared to their Windows-based counterparts. But they're still reasonably priced. I would recommend, however, if you're going to buy a Mac of any kind, that you wait until whatever Mac you've decided you want to buy is refreshed later in the year. 2016 has not been a good year so far for the Mac because it's just not getting an awful lot of love from Apple. So anyway, nevertheless, the mid-level $1,500 or €1,600 edition provides a 2.7 gigahertz Core i5 chip. Now, what I would say to you is if you are determined or very much need to buy a an Apple laptop or a Mac of some kind for work or school or whatever it is, you could try and buy a refurbished edition or buy secondhand or something like that. 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabyte of flash storage as well, and an Intel Iris 6100 series GPU. The long battery life and Retina display are two major strengths of owning a MacBook laptop. But above all, its trump card is Final Cut Pro 10. Apple produces its very own video editing application, Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro 10 is the latest edition of it, which boasts a faster and more efficient background rendering system than Adobe Premiere Pro for the PC. So that is something to think about. Finally, number 1, the Asus ROG G7 52VT-DH72. Rolls off the tongue. The model number may make it a bit of a mouthful, but if you want a desktop replacement workstation and video editing laptop with all the trimmings, look no further. This would also make for a very good gaming laptop. It features a 17.3-inch IPS display. That is the largest notebook on this list by some margin. The resolution is 1080p. There's upgradable RAM, and that starts at 16 gigabytes, a hybrid 1 terabyte hard drive, and 3 gigabytes of GDDR5 video memory, thanks to the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970M, will provide enough graphical horsepower for you. Ample I/O ports and card readers, as well as a DVD drive, which is a rarity nowadays, come as standard. Your games and your video editing applications won't know what hit them. So guys, that was my list of 5 notebooks from all across the spectrum in terms of size, in terms of pricing, in terms of manufacturers, as you can see there, that will no doubt provide you with a very fast and efficient video editing experience. So if you can think of any other laptops that should have made this list, please comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.